Hello everyone. I have brought forth a story I name Bonds Thicker Than Blood from a series I hold dear. And while this is my fourth work, this is my first work to make it to YouTube as an audiobook. What you are going to listen to is the music version where instrumental songs, mostly VGM, will play in the background along with subtitles. To those who are reading along with the subtitles, the four main characters will be color-coded when speaking. Their name and color will appear at the start of each chapter. If you wish to listen without the music for a more relaxing experience, there will be a link in the description for a musicless version. And if you would rather read it at your own pace, you can read the entirety of Bonds Thicker Than Blood at Javier the Great at AO3. Link will also be in the description, as well as the music used in the video. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Chapter 9. You picked a fight with the king? Hotaru hollered as they walked out of the inn, eyes from the locals glaring at them like criminals. Isamu gestures his hands in hopes of lowering her voice. I didn't know he was the king. He just looked like some old dude. You're an idiot, Isamu. It doesn't matter. King or not, you shouldn't pick fights with people over such small things. I know. I'm sorry. The gloom on his face shows his regret. A face Hotaru has seen many times. Thankfully, it is a sign of a lesson learned. What was the king doing inside such a place anyway, let alone an arena for monster fights existing in the first place? Aziza asked. Isamu's face lightens, and he points at her. She has a good point. Wouldn't it be dangerous if these monsters managed to break out? As they exit the front gate and head north towards the dirt mountains to the north, Hotaru ponders. Not only do the storefronts have hidden services, but also the kingdom hides its criminals under the castle. For all we know, the whole town could have an entire underworld. Aziza's voice jumps in. Maybe it has something to do with what the advisor said? Something about discovering the truth? From what we saw and what you guys saw, the city has more layers than I thought. Do you think this Robin Hood will lead us towards the right track? From what you guys told us, he lives in a place called Skyfell Tower, Isamu followed up. Vidir shivers at Aziza's and Isamu's query. Why does it have to be another tower? No need to fret, Hotaru said with a warm smile, gazing at the beautiful red flowers unknown to the island back home. We don't even know what it looks like. It could be more closed off or not as high. Anyway, our real issue now is finding the crown. Isamu grabs her attention. So we are just blindly heading north in hopes of seeing this thing? Nope. Vidir and I learned of a town north of here called Korv, hidden somewhere in a valley. Isamu shrugs at his sister. And you didn't bother mentioning it to us? You two were out having fun, and when you got back, my mind just kinda slipped. Wait! Isamu called like an intense warning. The group halts and draws their weapons, spinning their bodies, ready for an ambush. What is it? Korv is home to the wandering legendary martial artist! Isamu screeches with glee. They turn their head, sheathing their weapons to stare at Isamu, who is punching the air. Vidir catching his breath after his scare, and Aziza holding tightly her new snack pouch. Who? Hotaru questioned, squinting her eyes. He was one of the greatest fighters to ever be recorded in history. He wandered the land, fighting any and all monsters that stood in his way or disturbed the peace. They say his strength was unlike any living thing, even a god. Besides being able to run across the world in an hour, his greatest feat was knocking the head of a bear clean off its body. This is why we stopped? Those are just stories, Hotaru sighed. But I assure you it isn't, for when he died, his body was buried back at his hometown. There is documentation at the chapel. Right, Vidir? Hotaru and Aziza look to him for answers, and it's clear as he shakes his head. The book states of his existence, though I don't know how true all of his unworldly powers are. Surely more people in town will know. Well, let's hurry! Isamu, in a familiar fashion, darts ahead, flying past the colorful flora and thick foliage. Not this again, Hotaru shouted, trying to catch up to him. A large wooden overhead gate comes into view as the group crosses another hill. Unlike the castle, a small fence surrounds the quaint village where in sight are few buildings, with mostly farmlands of summer crops covering the area. Isamu takes the charge and jumps with excitement once he reaches the center, where a beautiful pond of lily pads lie. Despite their rude intrusion, the locals are minding their own work as they continue to till the ground for the next season. Fidir is the last to enter through the gate. Since he entered the valley, something has been bothering him. The burning sensation in his head is back. However, he keeps calm for the moment, as no danger has revealed itself, like the wasp on the island. If not for the innkeeper's word, I would have never believed a village would be hidden here, Fidir commented. Hotaru scans the area, only finding a small chapel and an inn at the town square. You said it. This place makes Reeve look like a city. May I ask what brings you young travelers to our quiet little village? From the other side of the pond, an old man catering to flowers with a tall walking stick makes his way over. His smile is gentle, and his worn clothes have newly patched spots of a lighter color. His wrinkles are large and many, restricting much movement on his face. Despite his age, he appears to be fit and active, even with a trembling leg. We wanted to see the legendary martial artist, Isamu blurted, even though his voice is ear-rupturing and could lure monsters from the other side of the continent. The old man chuckles at his excitement. So you know of the legend, and you look to be a pupil in the same art. His finger is unsteady as he points north towards the chapel. Behind our chapel lies a graveyard. He would most likely be joyous to have a young lad such as yourself visit him. Sorry for our intrusion, but we were also hoping you would know where Skyfell Tower is, Hotaru softly asked the kind old man. Yet another thing our little Corv is known for, he jested, with a laugh and changed the direction of his finger. It's just west of here. You have to pass over some steep hills, but after that, you can't miss it. It's out in the beautiful open plains of nature, truly a breathtaking sight. However, I would be cautious, as some bandits have recently taken a liking to the place and made it their home. Do you know anything about them? Afraid not. They don't seem to venture very far outside of it, but I have told many curious archaeologists of its dangers and convinced them to wait until they clear out. Somebody help! From the overhead gate, a middle-aged man sprints into the village. He's covered in sweat. However, nothing came over the hill with him, nor is he injured. Elder, it's bad. The people are all laid out. The elder's smile disappears and his eyes narrow. As he steps, his shakiness is gone. The stern face he reveals as he walks is like an old warrior returning to the battlefield. His voice is strong and deep. Ease your breathing and explain slowly what you saw. I don't know how to describe it. Everyone in Nordvik is laid out all across town. They don't have any wounds or anything, but they won't get up. Nordvik? Fidir thought, shocked by the familiar name. That's where the father of the chapel found me. Perhaps a curse, the elder loudly pondered. If that's the case, we need a doctor, or a healer, or a priest. If the people of Nordvik provided me a home, I must aid them, even if the king's request gets delayed. Fidir steps up with the same look in his eyes as the elder. I don't have much experience as a healer, but I wish to help. Thank you so much, the man answered without a beat. Please hurry. I don't know if whatever monster did this made plans to come back. Please, I need to find my son. Fidir is hesitant as he looks at the others, afraid they will be reluctant of his selfish desire, but Hotaru gives him a confident smile. Don't worry about us. Isamu and I can handle a few bandits. She looks at Aziza. Can you accompany him? Of course, I was planning on going anyway. Aziza steps next to Fidir with a smirk, and they nod at each other. With Fidir's past, Aziza is the only one to know why he might have suggested the aid. Out of the group, the two of them are the closest, bonding over the similar upbringing of arriving in the town of Alihan without a family. Both of them promised to aid each other once they set out on foot, hoping to at least find answers. Let's move quickly, Fidir ordered as he led them outside of town. Even as they disappeared in the distance, the man's grateful thanks can still be heard clearly. Isamu slowly steps through the tall grass, blowing in the calm wind, careful not to disrespect any of the nearby gravestones. Though most of the gravestones have an old bouquet of wilted flowers, one sticks out as it has an iron claw of shining steel with a grip to hold it. The grave itself is dilapidated to where the words written onto it are wiped. Isamu looks up at the beautiful night sky, staring up and counting the stars, reminiscing about fond memories of his childhood. "I'm sorry if I don't know your name, but I was hoping I could ask for some help." Isamu takes a deep breath as he looks down at the pure grass. "I feel like I have been nothing but a burden to my friends. Back then, they always looked at me for help, but now, it doesn't matter if it's fighting or whatever. I always find a way to get them in trouble. I try to lead or lighten the mood, but it always goes sour. I guess what I'm asking is, how do I help the people I love?" "Have you tried asking them?" Isamu flinches in fear, falling back to see a skull pop out from the dirt. It stares at him, motionless. "Has that always been there?" He crawls over to the dirty skull, bringing his face close to it. "Was that you?" he asked, sticking his finger out to touch it. "What am I doing?" "You'd be correct," the skull answered as its mouth miraculously opened. Isamu leaps back to his feet, white as a sheet. "How is this possible? I must be dreaming, or maybe I got hit in the head?" The skull laughs, and its teeth click together. "I like where your head is, especially compared to mine. However, it's nothing like that." "So you're really the..." Isamu is furiously shaking, his eyes watery and wishing to run back home. But he stays, trying to put a powerful front of courage, driven by curiosity. "The one and only, though I'm sure someone must have taken my spot by now." "So how are you talking?" "Pheromose's curse. Can't get a wink of sleep with that guy still wandering around. Anyway, back to answering your question. Everyone messes up, including me. The amount of times I've put the people I cared about in danger would be enough to write 4 whole tomes." "But you always came out on top. Things worked out. You have stories of the amazing feats you accomplished and people who are inspired by your heroism, including me. You're a legend." "Listen, kid, they are just that, stories. Up until my final moments, I was no different than the people before and after me, including you." Isamu takes a moment to register his words, his fear slowly fading. "So I can be like you?" "Absolutely you can. Though I wouldn't recommend it, as you have to keep what makes you special. That's why your friends love you in the first place. Besides, you're still in your youth. Making mistakes is the only way to mastery. The only difference between me and you? I have made more mistakes than you have attempted in life's challenges. Here, I got something for you. See the claw above my head?" Isamu looks at the iron claw. It shines like the stars and is sharper than a newly forged blade. "Take it. It's yours. I have no use for it now." Isamu carefully removes the claw that sits on the stone, placing it in his hand, tightening his fist around the grip, and it feels like a part of his body within seconds of use. He stares at the razor claws to see portions of his reflection. "One of the earliest mistakes I made was tackling everything the same, from life to monsters. This claw, my first lesson, it taught me that a slime cannot be beaten with a punch no matter how hard you hit." Isamu chuckles at his words as he recalls his own experience. "Hold it close and keep learning from your errors. One day you will become a legend of your own." Isamu takes the claw and stashes it safely in his gi. "Thank you for the words. I needed it. Oh, and one last thing." Isamu looks at the kind skull above the clean dirt, thankful for his guidance. "Can you bury me? Once I get out, it takes years before I go back in." "Yeah, no problem."